Welcome to the Gen X Experience, the podcast that celebrates the unique journey of 80s kids navigating midlife. I'm your host, Blythe Alperin. Each episode, my guests and I will share with you the unique differences that define our generation and how we are navigating those differences in the real world. Join me for laughs, insights, and a sense of community. Let's embrace the Gen X Experience together. Welcome back to the Gen X Experience. We're back. Yes, after our little hiatus, your girl needed a break. I had other things going on and I needed a break. But we are back with episode 50 and we have a new topic this month as we enjoy the heat dome. The heat dome that has engulfed a lot of the states. Why is it so hot? And why am I going to, when I'm recording this, I will be going to the Sarah McLachlan concert at Chastain, which is an outdoor venue. I have great seats. I'm very excited, but it's hot and I'm going to melt. Thank God I have a fan and some water. Anyways, but yeah, so we're going to kick off this hot season with talking about why it's so hard to make friends as an adult. But first, if you are a new listener, welcome. I'm glad you're joining us for our relaunch, not really our reinstatement, our starting things up again. If you've been a long-time listener, thank you for tuning in. And let's get to it, because when you think about why it's so hard to make friends in midlife, some of the answers are very obvious, right? Like, I'm married, I have kids, I have things with my kids, I'm taking care of my parents, I'm tired, I have my job and I have all these things going on. Or I'm good with the friends that I have. I'm cool. Like, maybe I've lived, where I am for a while, so I have my core group of friends. Or maybe you live in an area where it's just hard because it's a smaller town. Or maybe you're new to a place, or, your situation's changed. Maybe you were married, now you're divorced, whatever it is. So those answers are obvious. But one of the glaring things that I've noticed, and something I call her my biz friend, Cass Thompson, says, I'll include some links to her content because she talks about networking, but also about making friends, is that, everybody wants to be a villager, but nobody wants to actually build the village. I may be saying that wrong, but the gist of it is that everyone's like, yeah, I want to be part of a village, but not everybody wants to cultivate it and participate. They just expect other people to do it. And it gets exhausting. As someone who is a planner, I'm at the point in my life too, where I'm like, I don't want to always make the plan. Can somebody else do it? But then I also get annoyed because I'm like, well, I've been waiting for you to make the plan. And it's now, I don't know, 2:00 on a Friday, and and I have no idea what we're doing or what time we're meeting. And it pisses me off. It gets on my nerves. So, but also I'm like, I'm tired of the one initiating or deciding where we're going or when we're going. So, if you're going to be part of a village, you also need to make the effort and not just sit back and wait for other people to make the decisions for you. Because otherwise, what kind of village are you building? You're just hanging. You're just hanging, you're just the subject of the court or the king's, court, whatever. Like, you're not the person, you're not participating as you should. And I've noticed that a lot more as I've gotten older. I think when I was younger, it didn't bother me as much, but I also didn't notice that as a challenge. And the thing too, I also noticed as you get older, right, there's not a lot of groups for us. When I was living in New York and Chicago in my 20s or 30s, there were tons of young professional groups or events that were geared towards people our age. And then at that time, and then now as you get older, they're like, yeah, you guys already have friends in our life. We don't care about you. There are groups that are getting better at that, which I will talk about in this. I mean, when I lived in New York, when I moved there, at the time I was like, okay, I want to get married and have kids. I want to meet a nice Jewish boy. I should have concentrated on other stuff. That's a whole other discussion. But I decided to start my own group and I posted it on Craigslist. This is how long ago it was. And actually one of the women that showed up, Lisa, I don't know if she's listening, but hello. We're still friends. She's the first person that I met. And I mean, she still lives in New York, so we don't talk or see each other as much. I did see her last fall when I was in New York. So, I started my own group and a purpose. And I've thought about doing that here, but I'm like, oh God, I have so much that I'm doing. Another thing, but I would plan stuff, or I'd have people suggest things. And I did have a nice little group. I even had a marriage and kids come out of one of my little meetups where I was trying to, pair people up. And I would go to events and people were like, oh, do you know nice Jewish girls? You should join that. I'm like, yeah, I'm in charge of that. I'm like, oh, or they'd be like, do you know that girl Blythe? And my friends would be like, yeah, she's sitting right there. And that's her group. So it was kind of cool and nice. And it was easier to just find things. You constantly could find things like Time Out or online, stuff with a Craigslist or Meetup or whatever, other platforms. And some of those things exist and some of them don't. Like Meetup still exists, but it requires more effort now, even though we have technology. And I will say there are some things in technology that are great. In some groups, I'm like, ugh, whatever. So, it's just gotten harder. And sometimes your friends don't live where you are. Like my best friend lives in Florida. We talk all the time or send each other funny little things, but we don't see each other that often. I do get to see her in August because she's coming for my niece's bat mitzvah. My friend Lisa, like I said, lives in New York, and I have a friend Julie who lives in Chicago, and we send each other stuff. But do we see each other? I have to see actually both of them in the fall, so that was cool. But that can be happening too, right? Your friends don't live in the same place, or you're just juggling different things, or you might be at different stages, right? Like maybe some of your friends are married and have kids, and maybe you don't. So again, it's the effort. So when I moved here in 2019, I was like, okay, I need to make some friends because all of the people I knew were family, cousins, my sister, my brother-in-law, and my niece and nephew. And in the beginning, I spent a lot of time with my niece and nephew, my sister, because they were younger. My sister, not my sister. Well, my sister obviously was younger, but my niece and nephew were younger, and they wanted to hang out with Amp Life. Now they have a better social life than I do, and of course, I don't expect them to hang out with me. Go hang out with your friends. That's what you should be doing. So but I wanted to meet people. So I started out with like going online, Googling things, Instagram, and I found some local groups and I would go to them and I'm like, oh my God, I am the oldest person in this room. Like I went to a book club once because I had done that before in New York and Chicago, and it was great because you got to read a good book most of the time and have interesting conversations, and then you would just hang out. But I went to the book club of this group and they were all in their 20s, and I was like, kill me now. I cannot do, no, we're not doing this. One, I don't want to be friends with these women. They're not going to be friends with me. We're in totally different stages of our life, and I just cannot deal with this. So then I tried Bumble. I wanted to start dating. So went on Bumble, and then I noticed I had a BFF section. And so I was doing both of those. And I met some people. Some of them would it was just like dating. You'd have conversations and then they would just disappear off the app. Or they're like, let's plan something, and that would happen. And then I finally met someone, my friend Rebecca, and we met during, COVID, and we're still friends to this day, and we don't live we live in the same city. So that was nice. And I met some other people, and I would try to like bring, people together, but sometimes people just be weird, or they disappear. Like they'd get a boyfriend and then that was their whole life, or they would just come out with some of, a few people that I did know, and then they do something weird. And I'm like, okay, that was mildly uncomfortable. Or I think I was supposed to meet someone once, like we hadn't seen each other in a while. And then I'm like, okay, cool. And then I never heard from her. I'm like, well, I'm tired of reaching out. So it was just weird, or just some weird things would happen. People just be flakes. I was like, okay, so Bumble dating and Bumble BFF are the same. And I've tried to do it again, and it's the same thing. People just, I'm like, we're just going to keep having conversations. I don't need pen pals. So it was weird. And then I also tried to do some dating things, and that was the opposite. I would go to these RL events that were, and I'm like, why am I the youngest person there? I went to this one event once, and it was me and I think one other guy. We ended up chatting, and we were the youngest people there, and we were in our late 40s. And the people were like they were like in their 60s. It was weird. And I'm like, also, this is how you dress to go meet someone? It was not. Yeah. So, and I've been fixed up with some people, and, sometimes I'm still friends with them. We don't see each other as often because they have things going on, or, they live in a different part of town, and like, they won't come down here. They don't invite me there, or I might be in the neighborhood and they can't be bothered, or it just got to be where I'm like, this isn't I'm tired of initiating things. I'm tired of this whole thing and whatever. So then I found Timeleft, which Timeleft is, again, I'll put a link to their information. It's basically a group thing where you meet. First started out, you would just meet strangers for dinner, and you get to go to cool places, in your city. It's not everywhere, obviously, but maybe it's in your city. I know it's in New York, Chicago. I think it was started in Portugal. It's in Miami, Atlanta. I'm not sure where else, but now they have like drinks, coffee, although the coffee is like 1:00 on a Saturday, which is kind of weird, and runs. And I think they're starting to expand like where they do their events. So it's not just like, say, in Midtown Atlanta, because there's people that come from further out. And anyway, so I did that. And the nice thing about that is that they make sure that the people you're meeting are around your age. Like I think it can be a 5-year span, which is totally fine. And I went to a couple events and they were great. And I would try to like hang out with people, and then they'd be like, no follow through, the same, just flighty. And then a couple times maybe I'd see them, or we'd make plans or something, or they couldn't go, or I was like, I can't go. I'm like, let's do something, nothing. Or they'd give you you give them your number, or they give you yours. And like, they just because they give your number, you're supposed to, I'm like, you wanted the number. So like, why do I have to initiate everything? Or you'd message them, and then you're like, well, I can't do this. Or what about this? And then just nothing. So the dinners are great. I will say the conversations are great. The people are interesting. So if you just want to go out for an evening or a coffee or drinks and hang out with people, it's fine. But it is weird where people will match with you and then you never hear from them. And yes, I could initiate, and sometimes I do, but I'm also like, again, I'm tired of being the only one. Why are you coming to these things if you have no interest in meeting someone? Very strange. And the last dinner I went to, there was one woman sitting next to me, very nice, but like wouldn't shut up. She was like dominating the conversation. And when she would do that, she would like alienate other people. It was very weird. I didn't really want to match with her, but the way they've switched it, you just kind of match with everyone and then you can give them rankings or like personality traits, which I was like, no, I'm not doing that. So yeah, so I signed up for some. A lot of times I'll have discount memberships, so I think I signed up for something where it was like $20 or $30 for 3 months. So I have it until September. So I'm going to another dinner this week, and I might try a coffee. And it is fun because you meet interesting people. You never know. Sometimes it's just women. Sometimes it's a mix of both. You can go to women only dinners if that's what you want. I don't know about the drinks. I did the drinks once and I absolutely hated it. It was so expensive. The place they picked, the parking was like $20 and it wasn't just drinks and the place was loud and they weren't sitting us at our tables. Because that's the thing, you might be at a restaurant with other groups, but everyone has their own table. So you're making sure you're sitting with your age group, and they were just mixing it up and they like thought that was fine. And I'm like, yeah, well, this also means you're not meeting the people that are going to be on your list on the app. And so what's the point? Like we had a guy at our table who was in his 30s and I could tell he was younger. And I said to him, I'm like, you're not this age group. I'm like, you're not supposed to be at this table. He's like, no. I'm like, and you don't want to be at this table. And he just looks at me. I go, I'm not going to be insulted if you tell me that you would like to be sitting with people your own age. That's the whole point. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, so go sit with them. So finally, there were some other guys next to him, like, can you let him out? Because he needs to go find his table. And he was like, thank you. I'm like, yeah, you're not going to insult any of us who are in our 40s and 50s by saying you want to go hang out with people that are your age because we don't want to be hanging out with you. No offense to you, but like, that's not the point of this. So I haven't done the drinks again. I don't think that I would unless they get like a different partner. But I am doing the dinner and I think I'll do a coffee. And it's just nice because again, you might meet people, but the worst case scenario is you just have a nice evening that you hang out with people and have a conversation, which sometimes, that might be all that you want. And you're like having a meal that you're not by yourself. And the restaurants, for the most part, are pretty good. I've only gone to one where I'm like, this is terrible. So yeah, then I was going to try this online thing. It was like Marco Polo circles. They are so rude. First of all, they kept sending me the same message, like, you didn't fill this out. I'm like, I filled the profile out like 3 times. Then they kept harassing me because I didn't put a video. I'm like, I'm not doing a video until you get my group. Like, why do I have to do some video and then forward it? I'm like, why are you making me do more effort? And then I just sent them, I'm like, hi, it's Flight. They like kicked me out. They like did give me my money back, but I was like, y'all are rude. And then today I saw them posted them on Instagram, and the comments were like, this is a scam. The website's a scam. These people are obnoxious. So just be warned, Marco Polo circles, not a good idea. I think they're just using another platform to whatever. Really quick, back to Timeleft. I don't know if they do this in other cities, but here in Atlanta, there's a WhatsApp group for Timeleft, and it has subgroups in it. So there's like, wine drinkers, people who are outdoor adventurers, solo travelers, but so you can also go meet other people and go to different events. So it's worth at least joining that. I haven't done any of those because I can't quite tell how old those people are. Because again, I'm not hanging out with 20-year-olds. I don't really want to hang out with 30-year-olds. No offense to them, right? You just get to a different point in your life. You're like, why am I going to make an effort to go to something with people that we're not going to be friends? So yeah, Timeleft. Like once I'm done in September, I might not do it again just because I don't just want to hang out with people at dinner. Like I want to make friends. So I've signed up for another thing called like 222 Place. I think that's what it's called. They're not in Atlanta, or they're in Atlanta, but they have to like reach out to you and they get people in your age group or something, which is interesting because their ads are very Gen X. Like there's like an old computer or just some things where I'm like, this is Gen X. So why don't you have stuff for Gen X? But it's the same thing. Like you can go to dinner or events or different things, which I think is cool. Like you don't always have to go to dinner. Maybe you want to go to an art exhibit, or you want to go make perfume or something, right? Like, and there's people that have those similar interests and you can do that. Some of these groups too will have like at the end of the night, you'll go to a different place. All the groups of all ages come. I've never done that because I just don't want to. Like I'm an introvert, and after a whole couple hours of chit chat, I want to go home. And also, it's not like the bars are on the corner. You have to like get in your car and drive somewhere. I'm like, this is pointless. And most of the people that are in our like Gen X age group, they don't go either. So you're not missing out on anything. But there's 2 groups that I've had recent success with. One of them is called Real Roots. And this is for women only. I think it would be nice if they open some stuff for men, because I do think it's harder for guys, because like as women, we will go to things, but also you could kind of go to a woman in a coffee shop, maybe if you liked her shoes or whatever. You could just start talking to her and no one's going to think it's weird. But I think sometimes the guy is like, are you going to go talk to another guy? Maybe you meet someone at the gym, but maybe they get the wrong impression. I mean, you could do pickleball, like you could do sports or that kind of things. People suggested volunteering is another way. whereas maybe you see the same people, it just becomes organic. And you could say to someone, I think it was a guy, hey, you want to go get lunch after this? You want to grab a beer, whatever. Or, hey, I'm going to go watch the World Cup. Do you like it? But I feel like it can be a little bit more awkward for guys. If you're a guy listening to this, let me know if I'm wrong or right. That's just my impression that I've gotten. So anyways, Real Roots has different things. Initially, they were just like you would sign up to go meet like a number of women. I think it was like 6 to 10. And then if everybody liked each other and signed up, then you would go through this series of things, dinner, game nights, etc. And there's a guide there for some of them. So like kind of helps to foster the conversation. So I was supposed to do that, but I was like, God, the more I look at it, I'm like, this is kind of expensive. And I don't want to do some of the, like, I'm not a game girl. Like, that's just not my thing. Game night, board games, absolutely not. But then somehow I got on the list. They've started new things, which I think they should open up for other people. I don't think you should have to go through their whole series, but they have a book club, walking club, and the dinner club. And I did the walking club and the dinner club. The dinner club just finished. And I've still hung out with these women. Like we decided after we weren't doing the guided thing anymore to like not do Wednesday nights. So we've gone out on some Friday nights. There was one time we were supposed to go out and I got stuck in my parking garage because it was a torrential rain and something happened. And I couldn't get out of my garage. And also I wouldn't be able to go because the highway was flooded. So, but we've, I just recently went to Bar Anna here in Atlanta. Highly recommend. It's dessert and cocktails. It was really fun. We did that on a Friday night. We just went and watched, it was supposed to be jazz and like cocktails and jazz, but the World Cup game was on. So, and then some women just didn't show, which was a little weird, but we were in a group chat. We are making plans. We talk to each other, whatever. One of the women who wants to be on the podcast couldn't make it. Her work's been crazy. She's like, please don't kick me out. I'm like, we're not going to, kick you out. We send each other little goofy things and texts and whatever. And so, who knows what we'll do next, but trying to like maybe see each other every 2 weeks. But the cool thing about Real Roots is you can also do one-on-one friendships. I've had moderate success. I've done it once. The girl was very nice, but all we did was go walking after a while. I'm like, it's too hot now and kind of want to do something else. And her work schedule, is a little weird, but she's very, very lovely. Supposed to meet somebody else. We'll see if that happens. I haven't heard from her. I've been having to initiate everything. So I'm like, I'm not doing that. If I hear from her, great. If not, again. But also when you go to like the dinner thing or the walk thing, you get it's like a 6-week series. You get a one-on-one. And so you can hang out with that person. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't because some people don't show up and their software's a little clanky. So sometimes I'll match you with someone. I'm like, that person wasn't there. And even if you try to message them because they weren't there, they're not paying attention. So, but I did get matched up with Chris and we've hung out together and we're always kind of planning things, showing up. I saw her the other night and it was really nice to catch up with her. We don't live too far from each other, which is cool. And she's just a really fun, lovely, lovely person. And then the walking group, I have one more meetup. I've kind of skipped the last two because they've kind of been in my area and I'm just like, I want to explore something else. The last time I went, only one other person showed up and the lunch place wasn't that good. So, and the lunch place floor was fine. And I haven't really had luck with doing the one person, like the people I've been paired up with, that didn't work. So I'm not saying that Real Roots doesn't work. It does. They're lovely people and you have different options. You can do the series. You can do the one-on-one. You can do the book club or the walk club, the dinner club. And I might do the walk club again in the fall when it's not so hot. I might try the book club when it's books that I want to read because I'll tell you all the books that they're going to read. I'm like, well, I've already read that or I don't want to read that or whatever. So there are options and the women are very nice and lovely. And if you make a little bit of an effort, they're like, we are in a group chat and we are making the effort. It's not, not everyone is making the effort and now it's summer. So people are traveling, but people are at least communicative. Like, oh no, I can't make it. Or yeah, like we've gone to wine and jazz somewhere else. So it's nice. It feels like I have a group of people that I could be like, hey, anybody want to do this? And there would be people that would want to do that. The other one I just recently went to was called Nice to Meet. And again, I will put all of this in the show notes. So if you want to sign up and look it up, let me know. And if any of the things I'm telling you are helpful, again, if you can like share the show or just rate it or comment, that'd be so amazing. I would love to get more ratings. Because again, it makes it easier for people to find the podcast. And also, I want to know if what I'm saying and talking about resonates. So if you like it, that would be great. If you don't like it, just don't say anything. Just don't. Or just email me. My email's in the show notes if you have suggestions for topics or anything else. Like just be nice because if you're going to be an asshole, like I won't respond because I just don't have time. But like, what's the point? Anyway, sound like a fragile ego. No, I just don't care. Constructive criticism, yes. Being a butthead, absolutely not. So anyway, I went to this dinner. It's funny though, here in Atlanta, they keep saying it's in Midtown, and the places they pick are not in Midtown. They're in Buckhead. So like 2 weeks ago, yeah, 2 weeks ago, I went to dinner at Big Catch. I was like, ooh, seafood, and they had hush puppies. Love hush puppies. And I met three other women that were so lovely and kind. And we literally did not talk about what we did. We just talked about a bunch of things. We all really liked each other. We started a group chat that night. I took one of Jessica home because she lived not far from me. It was funny. She and I lived close, and the other two women lived close. So we, were talking about plans. I invited them to the thing I went to this Wednesday, and yeah, I took Jessica home because she lived near me, and she couldn't get her phone to work on her Uber. And then I got to meet her cute little Houdini of a dog. He's like a Cavapoo who's like 5 months old, and he peed on my foot, which is totally fine. And then I went with her to walk around her neighborhood a little bit, so she didn't have to walk by herself at night. And her little Houdini of a dog decided to get out of the harness. I don't know how a 5-month-old puppy gets out of a harness, but he did. We're trying to wrangle him, and I'm like distracting him because he's doing the puppy thing, right? She's trying to put his harness back on, and he's trying to chew on it. So yeah, and we've been messaging each other. And so I went out to not jazz, drinks, and the World Cup, and it was the USA playing Bosnia Herzegovina. And one of the women, Leah, showed up. The other two, like I had such a horrible day, and I'm not going to make, which is fine, totally fine. But like, how about this for next thing? So, and checking on each other. Hey, we hope you guys found each other. And so it was just really, really nice. And guys can go to the nice to meet. It's just how people sign up. We just had all women. I don't think that's necessarily the case all the time. I also think with nice to meet you, or nice to meet you, can say if you're interested in dating. I think you can also put if you're married, single. So maybe, if you want to, sometimes when you're in a couple, you'd like to have couple friends. So I'm going to go, I accidentally forgot to cancel my membership. So now I have a 3-month membership. I think that expires in October, November. So I'm like, well, I'll just go once a month to a dinner. So I signed up for one later this month because it was just nice. It was a nice conversation. Yeah, we're talking about planning. I brought both groups together, so that's kind of cool. And, Leah and Chris liked each other, so that was great. So yeah, I really, it was just lovely. It was like, oh my God, this is so refreshing to have adult conversation and to meet some really nice women who do want to make friends and are open about talking about their lives and talking about different things. And it's also nice not to talk about work sometimes because, that's what networking groups are for, or your job is for. So yeah, I signed up for something. I try to sign up for other things really kind of to experiment. So if I do something else, I'll let you guys know. I have done Meetup, but I haven't really had much success with it. Or like I've gone to things where I'm like, the women are either too old or like when they plan events, God, that sounds mean, but they're just a lot older. I'm like, I don't, or when they plan things, it's not at times I can go, or some of the events I'm like, not really my thing. There was an event that was in my neighborhood, and then I had something else. I had some family thing I had to do. So I'm like, dang it, because I could have just walked there. But yeah, I would just say, put an effort in, just try. You can try Bumble BFF. You can try Timeleft. You can try Nice to Meet. Go on Instagram or Google and just, once you start looking at one, other ones will show up. If they're not in your city, you could request that maybe. I've also seen people get on YouTube. I've seen people get on TikTok and say, hey, I'm trying to make friends, and you never know what can happen. I mean, I would just say be a little careful with that if you're a woman, but you never know. Sometimes you can just form a community online and then see what happens. But the real thing is, like, you have to make the effort. And I'm not saying you have to make it all the time. But if you meet someone you really like say, hey, let's get together, or a group of people, let's make a plan for this date or this time. And then you make a plan. And then maybe next time, like, hey, who wants to, let somebody else. Don't be the one that's always planning it, because unless you like that, some people do. And I used to like that. I just want to break sometime. But yeah, be an active village participant, and, and just text, just say hi, send something funny. For some reason, I don't know what it is. I'll just have a little aside and then we'll wrap it up. But I watched Off Campus, as like a lot of us have. And it took me a little bit to get into it. I was like, God, these guys are not cute. And this seems really cliche. But then things changed, because I started to notice, I'm like, these guys are not the typical jocks. This is not going the way I thought it was going to go. Like, one of the guys is, they changed some of the stuff from the books if you read the off-campus books. But one of the guys was supposed to be a football player, now he's a musician, and the main character, Hannah, was like working with him. I'm like, oh, he's going to steal her song. Didn't do that at all. Or this guy's going to do this or this, or this guy who's, Dean, my favorite character. Also, the guy who plays him, Stephen Kalin, so adorable. He's adorkable. I like to call him adorkable because he's cute. And I don't usually like blondes, but he's got a dimple and he's built, and his character Dean is so interesting because he is a player, but he's not the traditional player. Like, he's very open and honest. I don't want a girlfriend. I'm not looking for a girlfriend. I'm just having a good time. He doesn't treat women disrespectfully. Like, he's like, they need to have a good time. I want them to have a good time. I don't have a good time if they don't. He does have a weird thing where he doesn't do it in his room because that's like his space. It's just, he's very supportive of his friends. Like, he's like, these guys are not dicks. It was so nice and refreshing. But I'm like, why am I like liking I did, of course, Google. I'm like, how old are these people? I could be their mother, but I would be in my 20s when it happened. Anyway, so I've been like, okay, I'm like, can we go to this? Because I think I need to find myself a younger man, a blonde, or Stephen Kalin, who plays Dean, did a Verizon commercial. Highly suggest looking at it. It has In Excess playing. He's wearing leather pants. He's so hot. He's hot and a dork. And I like dorky guys, and he's also adorable because he's had like the same with his fiance, who he dated since like high school, they're like high school sweethearts. And I'm like, I just think that's so sweet and cute. But yeah, I'm just like, I think I'm starting to like blondes and younger men. What is that saying? So, but like, we can joke about that kind of stuff. And it's just nice to like have people that you can joke about, that get your Gen X references, that you can chat with or go out with, or just make the effort. Don't sit back and wait for everybody else to plan. If there's something you want to go to, just send it out there. And also, if you want to go to something, sometimes you can just go by yourself. There's also like silent book clubs where they'll go to like bars or coffee houses. You can just sit and hang out. You don't have to talk to people if you don't want to. I haven't done it yet, but I'd like to. So just look online, find things. You see the references I talked about. If you have anything that you want me to include, email me and I'll put it in the show notes, and I'll also make a post on Threads and TikTok and Instagram. We are on those platforms if you'd like to come join the community. Because I think, if you want friends in midlife, you should have friends in midlife. And, don't just sit around waiting for stuff to happen. If you want to have something to happen, you have to make it happen. And look, if you're in a group too and you're like, listen, guys, like, I'm always doing the planning. How about somebody else suggest something? Otherwise, I'm going to pick things that are only in my neighborhood that are convenient for me, or things that only I like encourage people to invite you to things, to plan things. Because, midlife doesn't have to be like the end of stuff. It could be the beginning of new things. So just kind of, do a little bit of research. And I don't mean then like do your research, but just search online. You could even use AI if you want to be like, hey, I want to find like solo travel groups, or I want to find, I want to play pickleballs or stuff for people my age. I want to do this or that. There are groups for things, and you can, and if you find a group or something, if you want to ask the person like, hey, look, you don't have to tell me the ages, but like, I'm in my 50s. Are there people my age in this group? Because if it's not, I don't want to waste my time. And, and I think the people who are group leaders should be totally honest about it. But yeah, this is an interesting time in our life. We know who we are. We know what we like, we don't like, but our life is not over. We're in midlife and we still have a lot to give and contribute and enjoy. And so it just requires a little bit of time and space and energy. And you never know, you might find some really good friends. You might just find a group to just hang out with, because sometimes that's just nice. You're like, hey, I want to go to this restaurant. I want to go to this coffee shop. I want to go to this bar. I want to go to this event. People are like, yeah, I'd love to go to that. Doesn't mean they have to be your best friend, but like, it's just nice to have people to hang out with. And, you never know. Like, my birthday's coming up in a month and I'm like, ooh, like, I could hang out with these people. We can go do something and I can bring people together. And it's just really, really nice. So anyway, also, before we sign off, I'm going to do a new little thing on the podcast, and I'll have my guests do this too, is talk about things that we're enjoying that are like maybe Gen X coded or related. For instance, speaking of young blonde guys, please don't judge me. I randomly came across this artist named Reeve Stimson. I'll attach also in the show notes. And the reason I noticed him is because he had this very catchy song. And I'm like, God, this is so 80s. And he's basically wearing like, just imagine Wham. Okay. He's wearing like the shorts and the hair, the earring, and he's got like a Walkman on and just kind of dancing. And I'm like, I love this. And his whole thing, he loves 80s. So he's a 20 something who is making music that sounds very 80s. He's inspired by like Huey Lewis. I think Kenny Loggins, definitely there's some Wham. So I will include a link to his page, because you have to see his dancing. Like the other night, he was showing, like, did a little thing for a new song, and he's like wearing these very tight jeans, very reminiscent of the 80s. And then he turned around. I shared this on TikTok. He turns around and he doesn't have the Walkman on, but he has like an earring on, and the way his hair is, I was like, I had an immediate flashback to Camp Coleman, my one and only time at summer camp, because I had a crush on a counselor who had kind of like the not super long, but that wavy curly hair, not a mullet, but like a little bit like longer, and he wore a saxophone earring, and I thought he was the hottest thing ever. And the shorts, I mean, it was the 80s. I was like 13 going on 14, and yeah. And so, yeah, Reeve just reminded me of that. So I was like, oh dear God. It was a funny memory because I hated camp, but that guy was super hot. And I was like, oh, he's not your typical Jewish boy. I think he's a little bad. Which is, yeah, I liked the bad boys back in the day. Now I just want a nice, dorky Jewish boy, or just, I don't even want to date, so I don't know why I'm saying that, but, or maybe I just want to have a good time with some youngins, because apparently the blondes are doing it for me. Also, Olivia Rodrigo has a new album out that is also very reminiscent. She does a duet with Robert Smith of The Cure, and it's really good. Very melancholy. But her other songs feel very like 80s, 90s. So it's kind of cool to see these younger artists appreciating our time. So I will include that. I'm trying to think what else. But yeah, I'll just mention that stuff. Oh, I read this really fun little book called None of This Would Happen If Prince Were Still Alive. And it was just entertaining and references to Prince, but this woman kind of going through it. Like it takes place in Georgia. There's a huge hurricane, right? Georgia? Yeah, a huge hurricane coming in. Her husband has just cheated on her. Her mom is being ridiculous, like doesn't want to leave, like just trying to deal with all this stuff. Her job thinks she should be like working when there's a like major storm coming in. And so she just, when she'll reference Prince, she's like, none of this would have happened, if Prince was alive or whatever. So it's just kind of very fun Gen X. I will include links to all of that. And again, if you have things that you're liking, let me know. So, we can just share things that we love. I'll make a post. Yeah, I think I'll make a post on social and we can kind of maybe make a list. So anyway, without further ado, let me just shut up. This has gone on for 30 minutes. Hopefully it wasn't too rambly. It took a little bit to get back into this, but I'm so happy to be back. And stay tuned for later this month for another episode with some of the women I've met. And we have, new topics coming up later this year. We're going to go back to October will be perimenopause and menopause. We're going to cover men's health in November for Movember. And we're going to talk about like the midlife slump and different things. I think we're going to talk about like sex after 40 and how that can feel, I guess, not great. We get into a routine. I don't know. So, and I think we might do for December, like talk about 1986, like our favorite movies, because that was like a, great year for movies and shows. So, and again, if you have any suggestions or things you want to cover, if you want to be on the show, my email is in the description box. So just the show notes, not the description box, the show notes. You can also DM me on, any social media. We are the Gen X Experience Pod on TikTok, Threads, and Instagram. Just one quick note for people interested in being a guest. This podcast is not just for women. So while I'm happy to talk about women's topics, this is for everybody. And this is also not a business podcast. Of course, I'm happy to share your business, but that is not the focus of this. And also, we're going to have some new rules for guests. If you are not going to post about this or comment, or if I tag you, I don't know if we're going to do a guest of shame or list, or I'm just going to untag you because I'm giving you free time and I'm happy to promote you and help you in any way I can. But if you're not going to be reciprocal, well, we're going to have problems because I don't care. I don't care if I make a shame list. We might do that. I don't know. Like a slam book, but a guest slam book. Maybe we'll see. Anyway, before I get more snarky, until next time, my fellow Gen Xers, don't you forget about me, because I won't forget about you. Even when we were on a hiatus, I did not forget about you. Thank you for taking the time to listen to the Gen X Experience. If today's episode resonated with you, please consider sharing it on social media or with a friend. We'll see you back here next time.